Okay, so we're gonna do our pre-market watch list for today. Got some very interesting stuff going on. Okay, we're good on that. So we're gonna run through the watch list. We're gonna start with our TradingView stock scanner. Then we're gonna look in Benzinga Pro, and then we're gonna select some trades for the day. What are we gonna trade? What are we looking at? What is the movers and how to select the best trades? So that's the goal of the pre-market watch analysis or pre-market analysis. So, all right. So on the pre-market gap scanner for TradingView, we have 6 here roughly. Tony B, good to see you as well. ANVS. So let's just start clicking through the watch list and see what we got. See, it's up. So closed on 14, 902. This is up 100%. So this is top volume mover on the day, or at least right off the bat, we have a good percentage gainer. So it's pharma and biotech, drugstore, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, neurodegenerative, which probably is going to be well positioned in the future. Any particular news on it? No particular news. That's interesting. So what do we got? We got okay, and pre-market volume looks pretty strong. 2.75 million. And so wow, this broke out of okay, so it's not showing this pre-market price action won't show on the weekly chart, but we are here on the weekly chart. So we went from 3 all the way up to 9. And it's just carrying with the intraday VWAP right off the bat. So that is pretty strong off the bat. Liquidity normally, and this is really low, 350K average volume. That's pretty low. So if it's already got a few million pre-market, then this is a stock in play right now. So we're going to have resistance at 10.55. There's going to be some profit taking there. Where would I like to potentially get into this here? Possibly a pull back down to 7, maybe. 8.10 seems possibly a little shallow. But potentially like somewhere around here. So I will have, using this weekly chart, I'll probably around 673. So I'll have 803 and 673 as potential buy points on this one here. I'm gonna keep this one on my watch list. It's already rejecting a little bit here and kind of forming a breakout formation. I'd like to see that extend and then break out in the towards the open and then rip higher and then watch for a potential move from 921 and 1055, which is good. It's about $1.30 potential gain on this one here. Goal is to get $1. Your goal is to get $1 every single day. So pull $1 out of the market. So we're going to keep ANVS on the list. So I'll just move this over here and then we'll continue with the stock scanner here. So blue, Bellis Health, another biotech. Pre-market gaps 11%. Volume strong. So let's see what we got on this one here. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Pre-market gap down. Normally do not get a pre-market gap down like this. And so that was yesterday. Bam. And then just sold off corrective structure. Okay. That's not good. So I'm going to probably pass on this one here because first it's gapping the wrong direction. There is a potential base of support down here, but it's pretty much gapping. It gapped down and then it's consolidating. So I'm going to pass on BLU for now. ENDP, this is a very commonly traded smaller microcap stock. So closed at 364, 418. So it's about 11, 12% up pre-market. What's the volume? Volume's 2.21. So let's go to weekly real quick. Actually, let's go to 4 hour. All right. All right, so we got some consolidation here at this 478, this double top here. Overall, the lows are building. There's clearly some resistance here. It sold it back down, but then it's re-attacking it here. So you're probably going to see some profit taking. There's a little bit of room to get something here, but not a whole lot. You're going to see some profit taking here. So above 478, then you got a little bit of room to run. So you got this base here, this base here, this base here. And then you could probably, if you can get past 522, then you could probably get to 580. So potentially $1 worth of room to run here and maybe even re-attack the 673 here. So got some key resistance here. I wouldn't, if this just broke out right here, I wouldn't trade a pure breakout because the launch is coming from so far away. So I would probably want this to build a little bit. And I'm not sure it's going to launch today. So keep this one on the potential scanners. You could set an alert for above 4780 and put it at 43 or something like that. Gosu, good afternoon to you. And so, yeah, this one's keep an eye on, but it hasn't really shown itself to be massive, like run massive amounts in a day, maybe 50 cents, maybe 75 cents, but it's not something that's going to run for $2-3 or something like that. So we'll kind of move this to just have the alert and then keep your eye on it. AYR, this is a big runner yesterday. And we might be seeing a potential fade on this one here. Yeah, yesterday it opened at, or it closed at 329 and it gapped all the way up to 690, went all the way to 822 in pre-market, and then it just sold off the rest of the session. So let's get into the 1 hour chart. This might be something you want to fade. Yeah, watch for a base around 493. You know, you got this little wick down here at 487. It's already started to fade a lot, and it rejected at the weekly VWAP. So you have some upside resistance right here already at 6. It might even be forming a corrective structure inside here. So watch for this corrective structure to break with a slight bias towards the downside. I'm going to put an alarm or an alert. I think that's the way to play it. Ready? Good to see you as well. Yeah, I'd watch for a breakdown and then try and recapture. There's a strong consolidation around here. So, you know, try and recapture most of this from 493 down to 376. That would be the relative play on this one here. So we'll keep this one on. This one's got some potential. Okay, next on the list, CEMI. Ouch. Yeah, we're gonna pass on this one here. This one's sold off into a corrective structure and it really hasn't lifted from that. So there's nothing too great about this one here. So we'll pass on that one there. OBSV pharmaceuticals, after a big gap down and a minor gap up. Yeah, this one's heading towards the yearly lows, so I'm going to pass on this one here. Okay, so let's move on to our Benzinga and see what we got. Good morning to you, Anurag. Is that how I pronounce your name, Anurag? Is that correct? I got the last part, Prasad, but I'm not sure if I got the first part right. So, all right, pre-market gainers session. Let's see, make sure all these are fresh. Cool. Okay, so I want to look at volume on this one here. And this is where we're going to kind of filter through. So OBSV is got, I generally want about 600K pre-market volume, but that's for me. So this is, I'll look at 600K and up. We got VXRT, which has 2.2 million, 2.4, 2.6, 5.1. These are all high volume movers to start off the bat. The one that's not really kind of a high volume mover is ANVS. Right now, pre-market volume is 5.2 million. That's strong in terms of volume, but it's average volume is not 75 million, it's 75K. So this is a stock that's in play right now. It's well above its average volume. This one is half. This one is 100%. This one's an eighth. So we'll click that one there. Anything on the chart? It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so let's check out VXRT just for the entertainment of it. That's how I pronounce it. Oh, okay, cool. Christian, good to see you. Hope all is well in Germany. Stefana, hello to you. All right, so what you have here, we can see this. We got a base of support on the 4 hour here. Let me blow that up for a second here. It's very strong. Some pre-market gains here, and then very strong gains in the session, followed up by more pre-market gains. Now it's trying to consolidate some of these gains here. So you clearly have a decent base of support at 663, maybe a little bit lower there, 649. This part is declining here. You can see this. So if bulls are going to really show that they are willing to step in at this level, they're going to need to break this declining trend line and match these here. If they do that, then this structure converts to a corrective structure. And then you can watch for a potential break either of 10 up to 12 or of these lows here further back down. So you got a nice clear structure in place. More than you, Jeremy. I'm going to set alerts here and on both sides so I can see what's going on. Inside, I wouldn't want to take a pullback here until I see that the market can rally up to this high here. Then it'll communicate to us there is some equilibrium between the buyers and sellers inside this corrective structure, that the bulls have just as much strength to push it back up towards these prior highs, and the bears have enough to kind of cap the gains up here. So I'm going to wait for that to develop here. There might be a potential intraday play on this one here, but you got a nice structure here on this one here. So this is something to watch out for. Christian, we'll be doing a video on my office setup and how I'm using it and everything. So yes, we'll be doing that for sure. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else that you can see? Intraday charts. I mean, right now intraday is pretty strong. Pre-market is pretty good. So it's just kind of rejecting at the weekly VWAP and then big burst through. So there might be an intraday play here if it can kind of build a breakout structure here. So keep an eye on that. This is kind of your short term, kind of the 812 to 849 is your short term high. And if it does that, then it has potential to rally to 928 and 10. So VXRT is on our watch list for sure. ENDP, we went over that one there. BLU, we went over that one there. And ANBS, I think we went over ANBS. ANBS is running. It's still running right now. It's running pre-market, and it's just being carried by VWAP. Very strong, very bullish. Didn't we have resistance on this one set? 9. Okay, so we got 1060 is going to be the upside target on this one here. All right. And 941. Yeah, so it's kind of breaking out right now. This is going to probably be a decent trade upon the open. So you got this kind of short-term range between 948 and 1060. If it breaks 1060, that's going to be very strong. You might run into some sellers at 10 flat. That's a big round number. So it might get a little bit stuck there. Might take some profit taking back to down to 942. That is certainly a possibility. Let's see what's happening on the 1 hour. This is all strange. Let's see. Film adventure tie up for potential. Is there anything in here? Nope, that's not news on that. So I'm not sure what the news catalyst is on this one here. Let's see if we can find it. Board approved to initiate 15 site phase 2 study in 60. Okay. That's today. So clinical stage drug platform coming. Approval to begin phase 2 clinical. So there's usually like a phase 2, phase 3 usually goes through 3 phases at a minimum. Clinical study in early PD, early 80 patients. Okay. Two ways designed to treat the combined total of 68 PD and so 68 patients is not huge. Gold standard in science is usually 100 patients for like a study like this, but it's towards 100 patients. So that's good. Okay. So positive news catalyst. That's good. So ANVS is going to be top on the watch list right now. All right. So a couple questions here. Wall Ball, good to see you. Ron saying, Chris, will this be recorded? I can't see it live, unfortunately. You are seeing it live right now. All these are recorded, Ron. Yes. We already have 3 of them, 2 or 3 of them in the list that are recorded. Can you give some insights, thoughts about selection for minimum gap volume? Yeah, we do that every single session. So there's no point in me repeating it, Ron. You'll want to watch the recordings basically. So go to the channel, go through the videos. You'll see the recordings for daily pre-market watch list. We always state the criteria for that, gap volume, all of that. So yes. Look at all the Form 4S for AV and BS filed yesterday, and then they PR this inconsequential news. Is that something you would take into? Possibly, yeah. Yeah, I'll look up the 4S on that for sure. But I mean, it seems like, yeah, whether that's inconsequential or coincidental. Doesn't really matter to me. As long as the volume, the price action, everything's moving, then that's, that's something I'm interested in. Kind of to recap overnight. So Asia actually started green and then it turned red, which is interesting. Europe is all red, and this is not like 0.5%, 1/4%. This is all 1% and higher, basically, except for the Swiss. So Europe's red and ES is already down 20 points. It is recovering some of that a little bit, basically. So it was down actually about 30 plus points. Now it's down 20. It is trying to recover a little bit pre-market. So there's clearly some players coming in. Yeah. So RUT's going to probably open down probably about maybe 10, 15 points. Looking over at the RUT, since we do trade small caps, it's very important to keep your eye on the RUT. Oftentimes what will happen with the RUT is going to have an influence. If the RUT's very strong on the day, if the ES opens strong and RUT's strong, then that just kind of gives a little extra wind in the sails for small caps. If the RUT's down, then it does put pressure on small caps. Main thing to watch for on RUT right now is this kind of consolidation correction we're in right now. So you got a pretty solid base that held a few times last week and it bounced strongly. So you have this base at 1375 and you have resistance at 1460. It is building a series of higher lows, so it looks like it's kind of wanting to challenge that. You'll have a little bit of spike resistance at 1473, and then after that, you probably won't have anything until 1500, because then you're moving into this range here. So there is kind of an interior support, but it's nothing too special. So I would widen this out to play with this right now. If it starts to break this and then this spike here, then that's going to create upward pressure for small caps. So that's something to keep an eye on right now. How are we doing on time? 6:11. Oh, I started early. So, okay, cool. Stocks any stocks that you are looking at before we move on? I don't think I have any more on the list. This is not there. OBSV. I thought we looked at that one. No, that's a no on that one there. So everything else is sub volume. There's just not enough volume here, basically. It's below the 600K threshold. Let's review a couple that we are still holding positions on, and one that we closed yesterday. Overstock. I'm bullish on this one here still. We bought yesterday at 37.75 or something like that. Took profit just shy of the resistance. It pulled back and then recovered VWAP and has since been up. It's been mostly up in pre-market, and I'm expecting a little more bullish price action. I think we need if you look at this weekly chart, I think we need a pullback on this one here. This is pretty, I mean, come on, it went from, $2 all the way up to 40. That's insane. So we got a strong kind of area or zone of resistance between 41.36 and 40 flat, maybe 42 and 40 flat. And if it can get past 43.63, then it's got some smooth sailing up to 47. But it does feel like it needs kind of a sell-off. I mean, you're talking, how many weeks is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This week alone, including this week, 17 weeks and only 2 bearish. So that is just insane. And if you look at the spread of the candles here, so this is, slowly building accumulation, gaining some momentum, a little bit of profit taking here. But then you have a very strong breakout candle and very, 4 candles. It went from 20 to 40 in 4 weeks. And here, to go $20 from 3 to 20, it took 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. So we're in a pretty strong acceleration phase of the price action here. And I'll trade some short-term intraday structures. I'll trade some pullbacks long in this here. I am anticipating probably a pullback soon. If it's not at 40, then probably around this resistance, and it should offer some sort of pullback. So just be cautious when you're chasing it. Try and be quick on this one here and getting this one here. Watch for breakout structures on that for sure. But I think there's still some play left in this here. I'd like to see it pull back to 26 because you got a really nice basis support here and here. And then you do have some basis support at 33. This is pretty decent here. So I'd like to see it pull back a little bit. It feels like it's stretching on the high side here. I'll still buy intraday dips and things like that and then be out by the end of the day. But I feel like possibly a little bit overstretched. Let's see it pull back a little bit, unwind some of this kind of aggressive momentum, and then start another leg up, build a base from say 26 or 33, and then launch for 47. So that's I like to see on overstock, but I'm still bullish on it right now. It's hard not to be. Even on the 5-minute, there is a little bit of oscillation, but you got 40.95 as your pre-market highs and your base around 38.49. So you're talking $2.50 to play with here. Is there any other pullback area? Yeah, that's not a bad pullback area around the mid 38s. That's not bad. You got weekly VWAP trailing up to kind of meet towards this support here. So a potential pullback to here might be a really good long. Even if you only got the top of this corrective structure, you're talking $2.50, which is awesome. So I'm going to keep overstock on the list. It's definitely a good stock to watch right now. It's a very visible example of order flow imbalance, if I do say so myself. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Check my T. Okay, how are we doing on time? Okay, we got 15 minutes. Let's go over a few more. DKNG. One of my favorite stocks to trade right now. So we talked about this. We expected that DraftKings was going to sell off a little bit. Had the news, and then it sold off even further. It opened last week selling off, and then it just formed this really tight corrective structure here. So there's really, let me move this larger one out. So there was really no liftoff here. There was just a brief dip buying intraday. Some people think it was overvalued, and they were able to hold it a few times, boom. But this corrective structure at the bottom was they couldn't build any higher highs. They couldn't recapture these highs. They couldn't recapture these highs, and they couldn't build any higher lows. So to me, I felt like this is just a matter of time before it was going to unwind and retest this. So I think we're going to retest this right here. It'll probably double bottom, push back up a little bit, and then it might treat some of this as resistance. And if it does, then it's starting to stair step down a little bit, and that would start to probe some of the lower areas. So look at 4 hour for that. Then you're going to probe this zone right here, which kind of starts around 30.88, 30.89 and goes to 27.68 because you have, this is where the launch is for the last swing up. And then this is your resistance here, here, and here. So I'm suspecting that we'll probably hit this, probably have at least a decent bounce, but nothing crazy. It wouldn't necessarily, it really wouldn't be my preferred time to buy this potential rip. I mean, there is some potential profit here, but the whole structure is just continuing to lean down. So if I was to buy this dip here to try and see if there's a double bounce off here, that would be trading counter trend. So I'd be trading against, the order flow has been pretty dominant since June 22nd to the bear side. So I'd be trading against a lot of that, dominant order flow. And that's generally not my jam. There might be a potential play there, but it's just generally not my jam. So I'd rather see this bounce. And if it shows that here's resistance here, then it's probably going to reattack this again. So it's probably going to do something like, bounce like this, and then come back down a little further. It's going to retest that. So it's going to like that. And if it continues to produce lower highs, then it's going to break into this zone, and then it's going to probably test this other portion there. That area would become a very interesting area for me to get long on a medium-term basis. But I'd probably want to see some transition happening in the order flow. I'd like to see it stabilize potentially at that level, show that it can maybe potentially make a new, like have a really strong rejection or make higher highs of some sort on a 1 hour or 5-minute time frame. But I think this is going to be a pretty good base of support. I think you're going to find some value players, long-term value players. They're going to want to put want to put some positions here. The analyst rating on this one here, I think the average price is, I have to check on my last video, but I think it's mid 30s. So yeah. Sachin Umarani, we are doing stocks. We don't do crypto on this. This is all stocks. This is all about pre-market watch list for stocks in the U.S. stock market open. So my apologies. We won't cover Bitcoin on this one here. Okay, so keep an eye on DraftKings. I still think there's some potential play there. NCLH is starting to build a base. This is one we're short. We have taken profit on this one here. Slack. Okay, we can look at that one. That's a good one. So NCLH is starting to build a base, but this is a corrective structure after a pretty strong, impulsive corrective. This is the widest corrective structure of this kind of sell-off. This is decent, but since the selling from June 18, this is the widest sell-off. So that to go from short corrective structures to a wide corrective structure increases it communicates the increased presence of counter trend players. That doesn't mean that it's going to bounce, but if you look at it from this perspective, so you have impulsive and corrective. This is a very short corrective structure. So the bulls were only able to maintain control and bounce a little bit for a very short period of time. On this corrective structure, this is now going on since the 25th. The bulls have been able to relatively hold the line around 1450, 1433. They've been able to hold that line now for quite a, 10, 15 days now. So there's definitely some presence or greater presence of counter trend players in this corrective structure than this corrective structure. Plus, they also were able to push back up and retest the 18 highs, which we talked about was in our last video on Norwegian Cruise Lines. If you haven't seen that, make sure you watch on the YouTube channel. So this is communicating we do have more value players that are starting to come in on the bull side, possibly thinking, hey, this thing's overdone and we want to buy here. I don't think it's totally overdone. I think we're going to probably retest these lows, and I might look to add some more shorts on a pullback towards 1697 and definitely towards 1806, and then retarget these lows, hopefully get a break lower and then start to move into this zone here. That would be awesome. But even if we only got to like 14 or 1326 or something like that, then that would be awesome. So I'm going to watch for a pullback to potentially get short on this one here. But right now it's mixed. There's no aggressive volume on it for the day right now. So nothing crazy. Yeah, starting to contract a little bit. So, instead of we had produced lower high and lower high and lower high and lower high, lower low, lower low, higher low. So that's kind of a mixed bag there. So don't trade breakouts lower on this. Wait for pullbacks if you want to get short. That's the general recommendation. Slack. What's the work? There we go. What's Slack's average volume? 20 million and 13. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Let's zoom out for a second. We have a support around 2982. You can see right here, all these rejections here. This part's starting to kind of fall down a little bit. So there is some downward pressure since June 8th for the last month, basically. There's some downward pressure on this. It hasn't been able to have, this was a significant bounce. Let's check this out on the 4-hour. But the most recent bounces are just getting weaker. So there you can kind of see it. So there is a clear line in the sand in 30, big round number, prior bounce and things like that, prior launch, and a good base of resistance here, and here. So this is a strong RRL, but this pattern right now is weakening. So if it has a weaker bounce and it can't even recover this high, and then it continues to squeeze down, then you're looking at potential squeeze breakout to the downside. At first, it would probably test 29.25 roughly. Let's zoom in a little bit. This low here and this low here. So between 29.25 and down to 28.84. This was the last swing leg up. So clearly there's going to be some people that will be willing to defend that. If that breaks, though, you're looking at, then you have a potential move down to 25.92. So there's some potential scope for the downside. I would say this is kind of your next stand. This is the next Alamo. And then here's kind of here's a major support area. Yeah, that's going to be a major one there. And then you have a further down at 23.37. So I think Slack is positioned in the medium and long term pretty good, because a lot of this work at home stuff is going to be permanent. But Zoom is not experiencing quite the same. Yeah, they're still strong. So yeah, I wonder if people are feeling like Slack's a little overdone short term. They want to unwind it before they get long, or have they been shifting away from Slack? I haven't been keeping tabs on Slack. But the question is, what's happening that people are feeling less interested in that? So hopefully I answered your question there, Chris. Wall ball from June now, since it's not a clean corrective structure, wouldn't that mean there's a less likely chance that levels hold on DKNG? I'm not sure I fully understand that one there. Do you think Facebook and Nvidia could be lagging in comparison to these other techs running, or do you not look at things that way? Not really. Yeah, I'm not looking at it really. Although Facebook doesn't really, I mean, Facebook doesn't really look like it's lagging per se. It's pretty much at its all-time highs. So you had, let's open this up a little bit. Okay, so you have, there's a lot of stocks that are showing this structure right now, where they had some prior all-time highs before COVID. They bounced strongly. They formed a corrective structure near the prior all-time highs, which you can see right here. For example, I mean, look at this structure that you see here, all-time highs, dip off, everything rallies, forms a corrective structure at this top. And look at this one, GDX. It's almost the same structure. You know, it's forming a corrective structure near the all-time highs. You're seeing this in a lot of stocks right now. So Facebook looks like it's going to want to break out. Yeah, this is a really strong rally. I mean, this is a furious amount of buying. That's a very strong amount of buying off that there, 209 to now 240. So 20% roughly off the bottom. And that's pretty strong. 2 weeks, actually a week and a half, because we're only a second day into this one here. So I'm expecting Facebook to break out. Let's look at 4 hour. Yeah. False. So you have impulsive corrective structure, false break, breaks back above, and it's putting pressure on this area. So here's, you do have your resistance in play. You probably want to, it may do one more pullback here. If it did, I think that'd be a pretty strong buy. Nothing crazy though, like come in 1,000 shares kind of thing or something like that. Nothing too crazy. You'd have a lot of upside to play with by buying at 222. You got $18 in upside, and you can have a pretty tight stop on that. $2-3 stop on that one there, and 18 upside. That's a really potential strong trade. But if it doesn't fade back and if it continues to build, then watch for a PBO structure, and then depending upon how that squeezes, then you could take the breakout or wait for the breakout pullback to get long on this one here. So NVDA, another strong one, just ripping, man, just ripping. Okay. Corrective structure consolidation. Interesting. Okay. Let's look at 4 hour. So it did have a level. Yeah. So this is, but it's interesting though. It breaks out and then it fails and it dips for support. Breaks out, same highs, like same, it breaks out and fails. So Nvidia doesn't seem like a great breakout. Like you don't want to take necessarily, the pattern lately has been showing that you don't want to take the actual breakout. You want to wait for a dip and then either recovery of VWAP or find a key pullback to support. So there clearly is some support around 347, 365, 347 are solid. 386. Now we're kind of getting a little thinner air up here, but there is something here, and here. Very strong pre-market. So close 383. Yeah, it's a decent pre-market. So there might be some intraday support, ITD support around 390, but then you have pullback potential to 386. And this shows Nvidia seems to show the pattern at least since May of this year. So the last 2 months, it's just shown a pattern of breaking out and then failing the breakout. And then so better to take the pullbacks to get long on this one here. Reddy says, question, can we discuss SPX and DEX like that or only individual stocks? Discuss it like that. Can you be more specific? How are we doing on time? Oh, shoot. Market's going to open. All right. So good pre-market session. Had about almost 40 minutes today. So very good session. On the large caps, keep your eye on Facebook. I think that's a pretty strong one there. Mid caps, watch the OSTK. VXRT on the small cap. AYRO. And then we have, was there anything else that was super hot on the list? Not really beyond that. So some things have stepped up in volume, but that's pretty much it. So ANVS, VXRT on the small caps, mid caps, OSTK, DKNG, and then the large caps. Check out Facebook on that one there. So that's definitely looking very strong right now. So, okay, about less than a minute before the market opens. Good luck trading today, stock trading course members. I will see you in the live trading room. That's the market open right now. So I'll be jumping over to the live trading room and let's start sharing our trades, and I'll share your mine every time, and then let's go trade together. So have a great trading session. Stay positive, stay green, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.